So we're on page Lamed Dalet. We're on top of the page. Not on top. We're 5 lines into the page, where the Alter Rebbe explained yesterday that sadness that comes to a person because of thoughts, inappropriate thoughts that entered his mind or her mind, and therefore they say it's not who I am, and I'm a learner, I'm a davener, I'm doing mitzvahs. How could it be that these thoughts should enter my mind after all my davening and learning? The Alter Rebbe says basically you're misguided because you're so far. The words the Alter Rebbe used, Yoni, on the 5th line, you're so far from the level of tzaddik, so your expectation is misguided. Let's continue now. These 3 words, Chevra, is like famous words in the Chabad lexicon. You'll hear it at Fabrengens. Halavai hoya beinani. Halavai beinani. Sometimes it says halavai. Halavai is a Hebrew word, but it has also that Yiddish implication, which means if only. Halavai, if only hoya beinani. We were a beinani. In other words, v'loi Rasha kol yomav, and we wouldn't be a Rasha all our days, and we're looking to leave the Rasha state to be more beinani-like. So halavai, if only we were more beinani than Rasha. And v'loi Rasha kol yomav, and we wouldn't be a Rasha our entire days. Afilu shoachas, even for just 1 hour, we would be a true beinani. Stop. Harei zoisi midas habeinani, says the Alter Rebbe. If we want to be beinanim, which that's who we are, the Alter Rebbe says zoisi midas habeinanim. The word midas here, Avram, means this is the norm, the midah, the measurement of beinanim, v'avodosom, and their activity, lich b'shayetzer, to conquer the inclination, the evil inclination, v'hirur, and the thought ha'oile that ascends mehalev l'moyach, from the heart to the mind, ulasiach daiti legamri mimenu, and to avert your mind completely from it, v'litchoisay, and to push it aside, b'shtei yodayim, with 2 hands, canal, as we said earlier in chapter 12. Says the Alter Rebbe now. So, okay. Each time the Alter Rebbe says yes. Uvechol tchiyut tchiya. Every single time you push aside a thought that comes to you, shematcheu machshavte, you push it aside from your mind. What you accomplish is kafya sitra achra lasata. You bend, you subjugate the negative energy of klipa as expressed in the negative, inappropriate thought. You subjugate it downward. Uvesarusa dilatata, and through your arousal, us who are below on earth, when we arouse ourselves to actively subjugate the thought, we cause isarusa dileila, an arousal from God above. Viskafia sitra acher dileila, and what we do is we subjugate the negative klipa that's hovering, that exists in heaven, leila, above, hamakbia atzma, that seeks to rise, kinesher, like an eagle, lekayim hashakosov. Thereby, when we do this, when we push it down, we fulfill the verse, quote, im takbi kinesher v'gomer, if it will rise like an eagle to become haughty and arrogant, and to use its negative energy. We're talking about the klipa, alluded to by the eagle, which soars on high, higher and higher and higher, but not like Reb Shlomo said, higher and higher and higher to Hashem in a positive way. In a negative way, it wants to go higher and higher, higher, boasting and causing problems for us. So when we push it down, get out of here, stop, get out of my mind. So what we're doing is, Misham Beiritcha Num Hashem. Hashem says, I will then make it descend. So, Yaini, it's in other words, through our activity of subjugating the thought and pushing it down, it wants to rise. take us over. Bring in and say, hey, think about this, fantasize about this, imagine this, and it's very inappropriate, right? And when we don't let that happen and we push it down, get out of here, you schmutz, get out of here, you stinker, get away from me, don't bother me. Hashem says, oh, you're subjugating the klippa below, I'm going to subjugate the klippa from above. In the words of the pasuk, Misham, from there, from God's perspective, Oiridcha, I will make you descend klippa, Ne'um Hashem, so says God. As the Zohar honors and exemplifies this idea, Parshas Truma, Daf Kov Chav Tes, Begoidel Nachas Ruach, the Zohar says an amazing thing. Hashem has such pleasure when a Jew pushes away, subjugates the Sitra Achra in their below, in their activity, in their life. You know what the Jew causes? The Zohar says the istalik yikara de kuchabrichu leila. Istalik over here doesn't mean it's removed, but it's revealed. That the preciousness, Yikara means the preciousness of God from above is revealed to the Jew. Al-Kula, this preciousness which is greater than anything, Yotir, Mishabcha Achre, it's greater than any other praise of God. Says the Alter Rebbe, I'm sorry, this is part of the Zohar. Yes.
Yes, so just really quickly, just to jump in. So basically, the bottom is when we push away those thoughts.
Yes.
When we have thoughts come up in our head, we push them away. That act of pushing them away it causes a certain very high light, so to speak.
Yeah, but it causes God then to push it away too. Our pushing it away, in other words, the klippa is an agent of God. Let me just for a second, I'm glad you brought it up. The klippa is an agent of Hashem. So God made the klippa. So the klippa is doing its job, Avram. The klippa throwing into us these thoughts, that's its job. When Hashem sees that we, even though, and 1 second, and why did Hashem allow and want the klippa to do that? To challenge us. To make us work. Otherwise, it's all easy. It's like the Zohar calls it elsewhere. It's free bread. It's shame bread. You didn't work for it. You didn't earn it. So Hashem says, I'm going to make you earn it. There's no free rides here. The guy was in yeshiva, in the kollel, etc., etc. There's no free rides. You're learning? Very good. But I'm going to test you if your learning really has touched you. And you've become you've refined yourself. So he throws these thoughts into the biggest learners and the biggest daveners and us from people. And he wants to see how we're going to act. So the klippa is doing what Hashem says. Then Hashem says to us, hey, I'm going to challenge you with klippa. Now let me see how you react. And what do I want of you? I want you to push away those thoughts. Don't try to change those thoughts. Don't try to be an Ibra Chacham. I'm going to go, to the inappropriate places and not walk inside. Don't look at people who are not dressed properly and say, hey, I can look, and nothing happens. Don't be a smart aleck. You're not that strong. So just turn your head the other way. Don't look, right? Push aside the thought. When Hashem sees that, and this is not easy. This is what we call, and that's why the Alter Rebbe says here, it's work. The idea of averting a thought is not easy. It's not just saying, I avert the thought. No, because we'll be there the next second. You have to, deep down say, get out of here. I don't want to see you. Leave me alone. It's mental work right? When Hashem sees this mental work, he says, now I'm going to give you aid. I'm going to, so Moshe, you called it, Hashem gives us a great light. I'm just interpreting that great light means Hashem says, like the pasuk says, I will shove the klippa to the floor. The same klippa that I told the klippa to challenge you and to rise and go high, 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 I want to see how strong you are. And once I see how strong you are, I'm going to then shove it away from you. So then it won't come back. It might come back in another area, but in this area, once Hashem, who's not limited by the forces of nature, gets involved, then it's kind of more permanent. I'm not going to say permanent, more permanent. I think of a very simple example. Eczema. There's eczema. There's antibiotic. I take an eczema. For years I suffered from eczema. Went to a podiatrist about 10 years ago. He gave me a pill. I was first reluctant, and I took it. I didn't want any side. Baruch Hashem, as far as I know, it didn't have any side effects. It took away the eczema. I'm telling you, Chevra, it was like, to me, a miracle. All my life, since I was a child, I suffered badly from eczema. Fungus and all the stuff, right? One pill takes it away. It lasted 2 years. It came back. A few years later, I took again the pill, and Baruch Hashem, right? Why am I using, just this came to me now. The pill is like HaKadosh Baruch Hu intervening from on high and saying, hey, I see that you're working so hard not to scratch your eczema and all that. I see that you're working. Now I'm going to get involved, and I'm going to give you that pill that at least for a while in this area, this thought won't come to you. Let me just finish the line. And this revelation is greater than anything else. Why? Because when Hashem Yoini interferes and gives us the help, we're riding high. It's a whole different. Then you know what I'm saying. Then you can. And Chevra, I want to tell you that this is not. I think about this and I try to live with this and I see it. The times that I do this activity that the Alter Rebbe says, pushing aside the thoughts and all that, I can tell you for sure in different ways how Hashem has helped in other, that it shouldn't come back, etc., etc. Because at the end of the day, we're weak, as we said earlier. We're just potential Beinanim, and we're not Tzaddikim, right? So on one hand, like Moshe said, you can't trust yourself. The Gemara says it, right? You can never trust yourself. You can be 119 years old and 364 days and be an apostate the last day of your life, an apikoides, right? So to say, I know for sure that I will never question God and God forbid become a heretic, sorry chap, it doesn't work that way. It's, again, maybe this is not a good example, but it's like someone suicidal. You can never trust them. It can be a moment and they end their life. They were all right, but if those type of thoughts are in the system and the depression hits you, it can just finish without a preparation, without preconceived, and it again, I'm not studied in this area, but this idea. So the same is over here, but at the same time, when we exert ourselves in a certain pattern, like Moshe, you said, every time the thought comes, I shove it out, I throw it out, get away from me, and I don't for a moment allow it to continue. And the more you do that, Hashem gives you koyach and help that to begin with it shouldn't enter your mind the next time. And that's a phenomenal thought that the Alter Rebbe shares with us here, just for this point, that a Jew is talking to us, people, right? Don't feel despondent. Don't feel like, hey, I'm working so hard, and again, he's here. So remember, the expectation is, like I wrote the title yesterday for the class, was lustful thoughts are expected. Not lustful thoughts are not expected. Lustful thoughts are expected. Lustful thoughts are the norm. But Hashem gives us a way to learn how to reject them, not elevate them, just get them out. And if you know that, then you will succeed a little more and a little more and a little more. And then you control your behavior. Just because you see this and that, or you want this or that, we're adults. Our mind kicks in. It's not healthy. It's not good. It's not appropriate. On and on. And young people, teenagers, young adults who are hot-blooded, they get caught up emotionally. The infatuation. Only young adults. It happens to older people too. But I'm saying is, I remember in Marin County, we had a couple, and the man who, I'm sure was a doctor, fine guy, from the East Coast, wasn't religious. And he came to shul one day and he told me, my wife became infatuated with someone. The man's, and it's like, you got a husband who's making 6 figures probably. Owns a big house. He's a nice guy. You have 2-3 kids with him. Where are you running? And she became infatuated. So how long is it going to last? A year, 2, 3. Next. So Chacham, wake up, see the future. So to Alter Rebbe, as part of Chassidus, the Baal Shem Tov, as part of Torah Chassidus, gives us various ways to prevention methods. But prevention methods not in the Musar style, which is also good and important, but prevention methods recognizing who you are. That's the Mahalach. Avram, the approach of Tanya is to find out who we are, to find out our inside. And when we find out our inside, I'm telling you, so many things will be easier. So many things will be easier. Now, of course, in a relationship, in couples and spouses, it's important that both find out who they are, or one help the other, explore and find out who they are, regardless if it's the wife or the husband. And then you can have a more harmonious marriage and relationship, and it helps the whole family, So this all comes from learning a chapter like this, and I encourage you actually to encourage your wives or share with them some of these thoughts at the Shabbos table, the Yom Tov table, the Tishrei is coming up, because this is gold. This is gold. These chapters are gold. Chevra, we'll see everyone tomorrow. Take care. Shalom. Bye. Take care.